Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is Tim Gillette back here with another Tim Gillette Show. The podcast where you actually get to find out about who the great people are that I know or that I'm getting to know around the world. And today's guest is no different. Today's guest is, I actually consider this guy a close friend now. He's really done some great things to help me with my brand, help me get centered on what I'm doing, and help me put my message right and actually get it so it's my message and not somebody else's. And yeah, I'm sure he'll cover that as we delve into his story just a little bit. I met Andrei Mincov. I want to say it's almost 3 years now. I'm sure he'll correct me when he gets on here, but almost 3 years ago from my mentor, Craig Duswalt. And then we got connected because he was here in town to actually do stuff here for the eWomen Network. And eventually we got together with him and said, hey, we need to get a trademark situated. And that's why you see, eventually we're going to trademark that, which I'm sure he'll tell you about. But we're trademarking our whole idea in our business. And he basically is like the expert to go to when you want to get the trademarking done. So with that, I'm going to bring him up here. All right. All the hooplas and stuff. Andrei Mincov, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Tim. Great to be here.
Hey, man, it's always good to hang out with you, man, whether it be in Texas, California, or online.
In Texas, California, in person, in a bar, much better than this, but this will do for now.
I know. It's like, hey, we should have got drinks. And, I have a little bit, but it's mostly water. Anyway.
So my team, we have monthly virtual drinks, right? Because everyone's all around the world, and we figured out not everyone, a lot of us want to have a drink. So we do have virtual drinks. Actually, one of ours is tonight, 5 p.m.
Really?
Pacific. Like the whole team, 16 people, we're jumping on Zoom. We're having a few cold ones.
Well, I mean, your team is from around the world. So tell me what parts of the world your team is actually in.
All right. So funny thing. So the company, I'm the only person in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. And I'm the only person in Pacific time zone, but somehow the company still has PST as our company time zone. We have people in Eastern Canada. We have a bunch of people in the US. We have people in Hawaii. We have people in New York. We have people in, I think, Ohio. We have people in the Philippines. We have people in Russia. We have people in Colombia. We have people in like literally, it's a big operation. Mm-hmm. And to me, we've been operating as a virtual company for many years, and the virus situation really didn't change anything. We ended up having our best quarter in Q2 somehow. So, but I guess I'm jumping the gun. So there's a lot. So much stuff I want to share.
Yeah, I know. I mean, you have. I mean, first of all, I mean, you know what I mean. You have a great company, and I'm sure we're going to get to that. But let's talk about you first. All right. I want my listeners to know you personally, because I got to know you personally as well as your family. I mean, your daughter as well travels with you a lot. Tell us about you. Why did you get into this? Why made you follow trademarks? What's the passion behind why Andrei is who he is?
It's very personal. It all boils down to when I was still living in Russia, and you can probably hear it in my accent. English is my second language. And I was attending my first law school back there and had zero desire to become a lawyer. Really didn't see myself as that. But my dad, who was a famous composer there, he caught a radio station that stole his music and made his song that I actually used to sing with him in his concerts when I was 5, 6, 7 years old. He caught them take that song and turn that into an ad for Samsung without his permission. And he called them up and said, hey, you can't just take my music and use it as you please. You have to ask permission. You have to pay royalties. And they told him to sit down, shut up, and be grateful that they were making him even more famous. And if you knew my father, you'd know right away that that was not the answer they should have given him. So he slammed down the phone, and he came to me and said, hey, you're a law student. Can you help me take the radio station to court over copyright infringement? And I said, sure. The problem with that was I had no idea about what to do in a courtroom. They haven't taught us that yet. It was more about theory of law that we were learning. I had no idea about copyright. And worst of all, there was no Google back then. You couldn't just go online and search, how do you sue a radio station that stole your father's music? You have to figure all that out. So this is really what started this, all of this. It took me 2 years. I had to take this case all the way up to one level below Supreme Court of Russia, pretty much as high as it gets. And during these 2.5 years of endless litigation, I realized how important those things are to people who create things and can't really protect them other than by having legal tools given to them. In the end, we won. And that's really what I turned into a career. In Russia, before I left Russia, I've done work for all the biggest names you can probably think of, Apple, Microsoft, DreamWorks, Google, Facebook, all the big ones. And then 13 years ago, actually on the 4th of July, I decided to make a move. Well, I moved to Canada on the 4th of July. We decided to make a move a little earlier, but we immigrated to Canada on the 4th of July 13 years ago, and came to Canada, had to go back to law school, did my second law school here, and realized that nobody wanted to hire me. And there's one thing I knew that I was really passionate about and was very good at, which was intellectual property, helping people protect that which they create. And when I realized that nobody wanted to hire me after my 2 law schools, after all this years of experience, that's when I discovered Rich Dad Poor Dad, Robert Kiyosaki. And he's one idea from this book stood out to me, that where he says, employment income is the most insecure type of income. And with all of this experience that I had till then, I'm like, yeah, no shit. So I started my own law firm and very quickly realized that there was one thing missing from all of that journey. That was clients.
Mm-hmm.
Right? It's very difficult to have a successful business if you have no clients. And I started reading dozens of books and attending dozens of seminars, webinars, where they teach you how to market, how to be different, how to attract people with something that they want. And it all boiled down to come up with something that nobody else does. And
Mm-hmm.
this is how I came up with the idea of Trademark Factory, which offers brand owners a way to protect their brands the way that nobody offers them. So that's kind of in a nutshell.
And I mean, are you still practicing law, or are you just all about a business creating trademarks?
So I gave up my lawyer license, was it 5 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
In Canada, there are two types of licenses. There's a trademark agent license, which I still have, and there's a lawyer license, which I gave up. And the reason I gave up is because this allows us to do what we do to a much broader audience. Like the regulations with lawyers in Canada really didn't make any sense. So I stopped being a lawyer. We still work with lawyers so that brand owners don't have to. Like, for example, when we file trademarks in the US, we do that through US attorneys. But the experience of brand owners is that they get the guaranteed budget, guaranteed result, and they deal with people who actually care about their brands and not billable hours. Right. Mm-hmm. So we take the dealing with attorneys as one of the things we do, and we allow brand owners to focus on what they're good at, building their businesses, building their brands, and taking their goods and services to the market.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's one of the things I like. I mean, and I had a friend here in Dallas, former client of mine, who actually was one of those attorneys that's billable by the hour, who deals in copyright and trademark. And like, when I looked at what he was going to cost me to get it, I'm like, wait a minute, you're offering a guarantee? Kind of takes the equation out of, let me not pay you millions of hours. It's like paying a doctor. Yeah, I'm going to pay you to experiment on me, but you can't guarantee you're going to heal me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or going to a restaurant, right? And you like, okay, how much does it cost? Well, I don't know. Like, we'll see how long it takes. And well, what if it doesn't taste any good? Well, sorry.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. But I mean, that's the world of entrepreneurialism in business. You found a problem, you created a solution, and then you took it to the marketplace. I'm sure now, I mean, all your years of doing this, you're finding it much easier to do this than practice law.
More fun too. I mean, look, when I was making the decision to give up the license after, what was it, 22 years or 23, something like that, over 20 years of calling myself a lawyer. It was a painful decision, but in the end of the day, I looked at what I enjoyed doing and what I didn't, and I realized that the things that I enjoyed the most is figuring out the solution to the puzzle, and then having someone else actually do the actual work. Right? To me, once I know the answer, once I see the answer, I'm already on to the next thing, right? And that's really what we do now. We've built a solution. We look at every brand owner's story as if they're our only client. Once we figure it out, then we can go to, let's say, our US attorney or our attorneys in European Union when someone needs a trademark there. For Canada, we would do everything in-house. But really, it's the same thing, right? We know how to help them. We get it done, and that's it. And I remember the first probably 6 months after I gave up my lawyer's license, every networking event I went to, it was just a big pet peeve of mine. I was like, I used to be a lawyer, not a lawyer anymore. That was the first thing that came out of my mouth, because I couldn't even believe that was happening. Now it's like, yeah, we work with lawyers, so what?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, you brought something up there. I mean, you want to do the part of the job that you enjoy. But let me ask you, I mean, I'm sure, because let's face reality. There's parts of your job, I'm sure, that are still work, but you go, okay, yeah, I'm willing to do this for the enjoyment I get on the other stuff. Is that true with you?
Well, look, I don't separate work and life. To me, it's the same thing, right? I pretty much work every time that I'm awake, and that's a lot of hours, but I enjoy doing what I do. It's building, it's figuring things out, it's helping more brand owners do what they want and help them not do what they don't want. And but that's to me, I wouldn't trade that for anything. Like, it's I'm living the dream.
Yeah. And I remember years and years ago, I interviewed Larry Wingett, who you know Larry, right?
Yeah.
Too. And I asked him, I was like, Larry, do you enjoy what you do? And he said, no. I was like, what? I was shocked. And he said, no. And he explained what he did. He explained all the tedious things he had to do for the one great thing he loved to do. And I was like, well, I never looked at it that way. And when I hear people say all the time now, I hear, well, I love what I do. So there's nothing you don't like. You know what I mean? You have to ask them, is there things I don't like about my job? Yes. I'm going to be honest with you up front, but I'm willing to do those few things I don't like for the things that I really enjoy, and you get it. I mean, you're all about that passion that you developed from younger years of the trademark.
To me, it's still a puzzle, right? Building a successful business is just a puzzle on the next level, right? So, doing things that don't work and, making mistakes, do I enjoy them? No, but the process of figuring things out is the more rewarding, the more you have to invest to get there. So that's how I look at it, right? So things that I don't particularly enjoy, to me, they're just part of the journey that makes me feel so happy when I see that things do work.
Yeah. Now, when it comes to, helping people with trademarks, all right, there's a lot of people out there who want to go, well, I can go file and try to do all this on my own. There's a million websites out there to do this.
Mm-hmm.
What do you tell those people, all right, when you actually have a service that does it? What's the difference between you and the guy on the internet who will do it for $29.95 or $9.95, whatever it is?
I think the lowest I saw was like $47, something like that. We had a very interesting discussions about this with our marketing team recently, and we figured out that there are two approaches to brands and that people have. One is one comes from people who file their trademark and they treat them as follows. Like, if it works out, great. If it doesn't, I don't really care all that much.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you don't really care all that much about your brand, then probably the $47 offer is the right offer for you, because if it sticks, great. There's a good upside. You're going to have a registered trademark, and if it doesn't, all you've lost is $47. And it's what we realize, it's impossible to convince these people that they need a better service, that they need a service that will guarantee the result, that will check to make sure that this brand is even something they can own, that will cover all sorts of follow-up communication with the trademarks office. All of that is only of interest to brand owners who actually care about owning their brand. Mm-hmm. Right. And that was probably the biggest discovery we made in 2020, is that we call them bargain bobs, right? Yeah. People who like, if it sticks, great. Look, I bought a course. This is how the epiphany came to me. I bought a course that teaches video production. And I think it was $49. I do put out a lot of videos out there, but I don't want to become a professional videographer, right? And it cost $49, and I was analyzing what was going through my head. If I get a nugget out of this course for $49, great. If I don't, well, who cares? It's just $49, right? That was exactly the mindset that I was in when I bought the course. And by the way, the course was phenomenal. It was paid for itself in spades in the first couple of days. But the approach was the same. So, and if someone told me, well, look, there's a much better course that we can offer you that's going to teach you better and more detail and guarantee that your videos, but it's going to cost you a lot more, I wouldn't have bought it, because I didn't really care about it all that much. Mm-hmm. Right. So that was the big discovery, that there are business owners who don't really care about their brands, who don't really care about owning them, and we won't convert them, and we don't try anymore. What we do is we focus on messaging those business owners who actually believe that they're building something that matters, that's something that's going to stay for the years to come, and it's something that they want to own. Because if you think about all the big brands, all the brands that we look up to, they all trademarked their brands very early on before anyone knew about them. Google, Facebook, same month. Uber filed their first trademark a couple of months before they launched. Stripe, the credit card processing company, 8 months before they launched. Bird, the scooter rental company, they filed their trademark 13 days after they incorporated. They came up with a company, right? So they will do it before they're on anyone's map, simply because they know that if it works out, the brand is going to be one of their most valuable assets, and the return on investment is going to be crazy. Nike, the value of the entire company is $90-something billion. The value of the brand itself, not the sneakers, not the shirts, not the distribution, is $47 billion. Just the name, the swoosh, and just do it, right? That's the value of a brand. And if you don't own it, by the time your business becomes successful, someone will have trademarked it, and better be you.
Yeah. And I know you and I have talked about, there was a phrase that I said as part of my marketing over the years, and a friend of mine in the speaking world, you started using that phrase, and he kind of became known for it, but he never trademarked it, never copyrighted it.
Mm.
And I came to you and I said, Andrei, should I? And you said, well, Tim, you could, but you'd be screwing your friend over. So where do you go into people and go give them advice? I mean, right there could have been a perfect example that you could have taken the money from me, but you said, Tim, let's be nice about this. All right. Don't take the dirtball thing. Let's be respectable in our business. Do you have a lot of people come to you with, hey, I want to be the dirtball and just take this away from somebody?
We had an interesting situation. Well, look, to me, because it all started with my dad, I just don't like seeing people get screwed, right? That's the whole reason I'm in this business. And we had an interesting client a while ago. He bought a lot of trademarks from us. It was a nice $20-something thousand client.
Mm-hmm.
And he asked us to file the trademarks, and we did. And then it turned out that when we did the search, we saw some prior trademarks that were similar. And he said, don't worry about them because they're no longer in business. They don't care about them. And if that's the case, we said, sure, if those trademarks are dead, you can file a trademark, and you can get it through. And we might have to apply to cancel those other trademarks because sometimes a trademark lives longer than the business. And we told them, look, we're only going to do it assuming that the other side doesn't show any interest in them, because if they do, there's nothing that we can do and nothing that we want to do because they were there first. I said, sure. Mm-hmm. And so we filed for the cancellation, and the other guy showed up. And they said, no, we're still very much interested in this. And we go back to the client and said, well, that's not what you told us. And we had quite a bit of, back and forth about it. And according to our agreement, we didn't even have to give him a refund because he didn't provide a truthful information to us. But we just didn't want to deal with him anymore because we realized that he was knowingly trying to hijack an existing brand, and we're like, we don't want you as a client. So here's $20,000. We'll find other clients to help. So that, to me, that stuff is important because we're not in the business of screwing brand owners, whether those who pay us or those who don't. We are in the business of helping brand owners protect what's theirs.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And I appreciate that. It's one of the reasons why we as my company, why we chose you, as opposed to other people I knew and other shortcuts I knew that I'm like, it could be a hassle. I'm like, no, I'm going to go because you're an upstanding person. Mm. And I assume the fact that you worked in the legal profession, you've known a few not so upstanding people. I'm not saying all lawyers are that way.
No.
Not implying it either. Anyway.
Look, I used to be one. We work with some lawyers, and obviously, I think the way the law school teaches you that you start focusing more on covering your own ass and billable hours than actually looking at what does the client want. And that's really what's happening with Trademark Factory now. We're transitioning away from seeing ourselves as the legal services provider to just provider of an experience, and on top of maybe an insurance company, right? With the refunds that no one will give you, but we will, with the guaranteeing the result, right? We can't guarantee that your trademark will get registered. No one can, because there's government there, there's someone sitting there, and we can't control them. It's not fully within our control. But what we can guarantee is that if it doesn't go through, you will at least get all your money back. So that pushes us to work harder. And it really all boils down to experience. And if you enjoy traditional law firm experience, you're probably going to get the same quality of the actual legal service as what we will provide. Well, depending on if they're experienced, that's what you're going to get. But that comes with like I said, the traditional law firm experience, the billable hours, the never being able to reach your attorney, and when they do, you you get charged for it, and if it doesn't go through, all you get is just the last invoice saying, "I'm sorry, it didn't go through. Here's the bill." Right? That's not what they get with us.
And it's interesting, you know what I mean? Because so many people, they want the quick fix. They want to just put it off on somebody else, and end up with a scenario like that. Is there something you recommend the people who come to you do before they get started with the process? Is there anything that, hey, do this checklist first? Do you have material for us to actually check and see what we're getting into?
Yeah. So first thing you want. Okay. So let me take a step back, and I came up with this idea. We call it jump brands. What makes a brand valuable? What makes a brand worth building? What makes a brand worth promoting? And to me, it's four things. One, it has to be juicy. It has to be something that triggers you, something that makes you want to do things for it, something that gives you the feeling that this is my thing, right? This is not just a name. This is the name. The U in JUMP stands for unique. And you want to have a name that, or logo or a tagline, whatever, something that allows you to stand apart from everyone else who does the same thing. It's less about coming up with amazing names and a lot more coming up with unique names and making them great over time, right? There's nothing amazing about the swoosh from the design perspective. There's nothing, brilliant about the word Apple for computers, except that it was so different, so unique, that they made it into a billion-dollar brand. Now, and when I say unique, the first thing you want to do is you want to Google, right, and see other companies that do the same thing, that operate under the same name. And if not, then you might be onto something, right? You don't even need to do a trademark search. Just look what's out there. Another great tool is NameCheck, namechk.com, that allows you to see if social media profiles with that name is taken. You also want to see if the domain name is available, because if you can't have any of that, you're already starting on a weak foundation. Okay. M stands for memorable. You have to have a brand that people can remember, and it can be super unique, but if no one can remember it, you got a problem. And P stands for protected. If you came up with a brand that you love, that's unique and memorable, and you don't own it, well, you don't have a brand. It's not your brand. And that's really where trademarks come into play. So the first step you want to do is you want to check, just do a very simple search. Can you own the domain name? Can you own social media profiles? Are there, how many other companies in your industry use the same name? And if you don't see anything, or you don't see many, then that would be a good opportunity to find a company that will do a proper trademark search for you, just to see, has anyone trademarked anything like that. And you always want to start with a search, because we ran into this problem with you, Tim, didn't we? When you came up with a name, we did a search, and it's not going to work, right? And you went back to the drawing board, you came up with another great name, and now you own it. We're literally days away from sending you your trademark registration certificate for your brand. So you do a trademark search, you check if it's doable. If it's doable, you do it. If it's not doable, you either figure out how to make it doable, or you go back to the drawing board and come up with something completely different.
Yeah. And I love it, because in my case, I got a hard lesson in trademarks because of my last name. I didn't know And really, I mean, I could fight it because it is my last name, but I don't. I just like, you know what I mean? I think I learned from my mentor, Craig, who, you know what I mean? You connected me to you, is like, yeah, I could fight it, and I might win, but they got bigger lawyers. They got more money. They got deeper pockets. They'll fight me and 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 fight me until I go away. So,
Yeah.
And I just had to accept it and go, okay, I need to go create something that's me, that I got, that I own, you know what I mean? And it was great that, you know, that was the time you came into my life, and it was a very great time to actually get into that position. But yeah, you know, when you start searching out and you start looking for reputable people to work with, and I don't care if you're in the coaching industry or any industry, you want somebody like you, Andre, in your corner to go, hey, yeah, I know I can trust this guy. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that you actually do, I noticed that you did it for me. After I actually invested and got involved with your company, what is the first thing you sent me in the mail?
A book. Still have it.
Yeah, I got it right here. I knew I was going to have you on the call today.
Yeah.
Got it right here.
Yeah, it's kind of a little bit of a surprise that we do for our clients.
Yeah. And that's very unique that you do that too. All right, that you created something like that, where now I can get to know you, your company, but that makes you stand out more than any attorney that's going to call me on this subject. Correct?
That's the point, right? Yeah. Different is better than better.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So the other unique thing you do is in your marketing. And, you know, I'm going to go there because I can. It's my show. Every place I've ever seen Andre speak, who's the person that everybody wants to see when you speak, Andre?
Masha, my daughter. She's turning 15 in November. Yeah.
Masha is the youngest speaker I've had on my stage. Proudly, I can say that.
Yeah. She misses the events, like there's no tomorrow with the borders being closed and events being canceled. And yeah, she loves going out. She's been doing this with me since I think she was 11 or something. Yeah. And
Masha is so smart. I mean, and you guys homeschool, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. She's so smart, so intelligent for such a young kid. I wish I was that smart when I was her age.
I remember, I think it was eWomen conference. I think it was eWomen. It could have been Craig's. I don't remember which one, but either one of those. There was a short lunch period, and we had a booth, right? So, and we decided to split up. So one of us will go have lunch, and the other one would continue at the booth. And I went out. I'm having my lunch. I'm coming back, and I see Masha there with a client. Filling out the form on the iPad, and she's like, "Go away! I'm taking his credit card information." I really, she wanted to own the close on that one from start to finish, and she did. It was so funny. She was just jumping up and down from like, "I did it! I closed them."
Yeah. And she is. I mean, she's very, very knowledgeable in what you do. All right. I just am overwhelmed at how wise she is for how young of age she is. And really, that's a very good tribute to both you and your wife as to how well you educate your kids on things, But I see that education now as you tell the story going back to your father. You got this from your dad, and you're carrying it on. And I'm pretty sure Masha is going to carry this on with her kids. You hope.
Yeah. That's the hope. I mean, look, that's every parent's dream. And one of the reasons we wanted to homeschool is because I didn't like what was happening with the educational system, especially from the values perspective that the school system is trying to instill in children. And how much more difficult would it be to teach them versus try and fix them and fight over everything, stupid thing that, the school does to them, and go and argue every time. And if someone told me I'd be homeschooling my children before we started homeschooling them, I'd have laughed in their face. I really didn't plan this, but now I can't think of any other way. So one thing we're doing now, because they've gone through a bunch of subjects that we thought were important for them to have. They've done math just to train their brains. Masha speaks 5 languages, and they're doing this and they're doing that. And like, well, what else do we teach them? And one thing I'm teaching them now is public speaking. Because really, I was thinking, what is it that they didn't teach me in school that I wish they had? And that's one of those things. So we're looking at, is anyone, like, if they want to become chemists, they can pick up chemistry and probably, learn it faster than they would have in school. If they don't want to learn chemistry, there's no reason to learn chemistry at all, spend any time on that. But public speaking, negotiating, being able to have a conversation, being able to be, being smart with money, being smart with some decisions, that's the skills that are going to be important no matter when, no matter where. And that's the stuff they don't teach you in school. So that's what we're focusing on right now.
And I'm just curious. I mean, has she at this age, and her or your other kids, are they putting an interest into, starting their own business someday?
It's a struggle for them. They're still trying to find what interests them, and I think eventually they'll figure out that the job economy is gone and that it's a gig economy at best. And you either do gigs or you own gigs.
Yeah.
Right? But the whole idea of getting a job and sticking to it for years and years, it's tough. It's tough. And I mean, there still are certain categories where that would work, but in most cases, it's gig economy. It's
okay.
here today.
And you know what I mean? The other thing I was wondering about this, and you know what I mean, with the kids and everything that's going on in our world today, you have not stopped doing the same work. All right. You guys are still, even though you can't travel to events, are you still, you and Masha still doing, hey, let's get on, like this, virtual conferences or speaking at virtual conferences, things like that?
No, we haven't done it. We've, so when the virus hit, or let me rephrase that, when the lockdowns started, over the fears of the virus, we were very, very, very scared, because we thought that the trademarks would be the last thing on people's minds when their business is under lockdown. And so we had our quarterly meeting in what was it? In April, early April. And we came up with a theme for the quarter, right? And the theme was to not run out of money. That was the theme for the quarter, right? We wanted to not go under. We wanted to not lose people in our team. And then from there, we started coming up with the most important things we wanted to accomplish in the quarter. And everything that we came up with, we ran through the prism of, does it help us not run out of money, right? And we focused on things that would move the needle, and we said no to everything that wouldn't. And we ended up having the strongest quarter in Trademark Factory's history in Q2, which is crazy if you think about it. And so now in Q3, we have a different theme, which is ensure consistent growth. And again, we figured out that having a theme for the quarter and focusing on stuff that moves the needle towards that theme and not doing anything that doesn't is there. I'm sorry, what was your question? I think I'm answering something that you didn't ask.
And it's funny because when I ask questions, I let people go on, and then I take something from, if you guys, so those people are listening, if you've not figured out my interviewing, I ask a question, wherever the conversation goes, it's directing my next question. That's how and that's my secret. But anyway, I think we were asking about, are you guys doing virtual speakings and stuff like that?
Right. So So in line with that, we realized that doing virtual speakings would not be the best way to not run out of money. Because again, that what we focused on is building the foundational stuff. And we dug very deep into the psychology of why people became our clients, what they liked about us, what they were looking for, what are the things that they need to see and hear to become clients. And I think we've never really done this homework. Everyone says you should, and we're always kind of like, yeah, sure. This is, I think, what was different. And to us, it was not about finding additional sources of traffic, additional sources of getting in front of people, but to understanding those that we already have better, and following up with those who are existing clients better to make sure that they're happy, right? So short answer is we're probably going to go back to doing events, but I don't know, probably, look, we enjoy the personal thing. Virtual we do already, right? I got a team of amazing people who goes on these calls every day, and they talk to dozens of business owners who have got brands to protect, and that's great. But what I'm personally lacking is the ability to give you a hug, listen to you, tell me a story, go to the bar, and
let's not forget go to the bar. I'm sorry.
Yes. Because look, to me, like as a business owner, I don't do most of the client work anymore, right? I got the legal team that does that. I got the advisors who get on the initial calls. So all I do really is when I get the trademark registration certificate, I put it in a frame. I write a note, and I mail it in a blue shiny envelope, right? So, and the events for me are an opportunity to actually meet the people, hear their stories, and that fuels me. So we're waiting for the borders to open and the events to restart.
Okay. No, I mean, but I know somebody who hosts a monthly virtual event now that probably would take you on as a speaker in a heartbeat. I'm trying to think of his name right now.
Does this rhyme with a man, the best a man can get? Look, I love you. I love your audience, and if you mentioned that you would consider having me, it'd be my pleasure.
Yeah, we're gonna get you on one of our monthly events. I know we are. I don't know how I'm gonna twist your arm, but I know I'm gonna make you do it. I mean, I'm part Russian too. Okay, I have a way of enforcing my way.
There you go.
Yeah,
a little bit of vodka goes a long way, right?
There's one question I almost always ask, and I know I kind of left this one out, and I put it in my notes to come back to it. And that is, and I know the answer, but I'm going to ask it anyway for my audience, is mentorship. I know you have a mentor that you look up to, and you, just like I look up to Craig, I know who is your mentor and why you look up to them. Give us, the audience, a bit about him.
Studied a lot from Dan Locke. I've been under his mentorship since 2015. A lot of great stuff that happened to my business came as a result of what I learned. And it's funny because when I go back to stuff he taught a couple of years ago, again and again, I always find new things. And I'm like, how did I not see it back then? I just wasn't ready. So he teaches high ticket closing. He teaches copywriting, and there's an amazing wealth of wisdom that he shares with the world. And on top of that, he became our biggest client. We've done more than 100 trademarks for him.
Oh, wow.
More than a freaking 100 trademarks. And so this relationship is something we treasure, and I've always but really it's a lot. So to your point, I think, especially as Russian guy, it was difficult to come to the idea that, hey, you may want to use some help. You may want to listen to some people who've been there, done that, and you don't always have to figure everything out yourself. Because, and actually, this is something Dan says: when you go to the bank to deposit the check, they never ask you, did you make this money with the idea that you came up with yourself, or did someone help you? The bank doesn't care, and your clients don't either, right? Yeah. So all of this is ego, and there's nothing wrong with ego if it helps you, but when you're trying to build a business, it usually hurts you more than it helps you. So
it does. So, and I knew Dan was. That's why I wanted to ask that, because I know Dan's a great guy. I've not met him personally, but I've heard a lot of things about Dan, and I know specifically that you've worked with him very intensely. So
yeah.
And I appreciate that. So anyway, before I do my famous game ending thing here, tell everybody your website so they can find you.
All right. The website is trademarkfactory.com. Very simple. And you can book a call with one of our strategy advisors there. It's free. And if you've got a business, got a brand that you think you want to protect, get on a call and have a conversation with them and see if we're the right fit, if you got something that needs protecting, and we'll take it from there.
And if you don't, all right, I'm going to tell you from experience. All right, he's going to tell you no, go find something else.
Look, the brand is what sells, and today in the virtual economy, like how are your services any different from the next guy? Is it just the website? Is it just your name?
Yeah.
It's not enough. It's not enough. You have to have something that people can remember.
Yeah, and it's funny because my original idea, my current one that we have with the Simple Easy Marketing, is not very far off from what my original one was. Same concept. I just had to change the naming of it. And if I didn't take that consultation with Andrei, I never would have gotten it. I would have kept dilly-dallying and, well, sooner or later I'll figure it out. No, I get on the phone and you prompted me to go research and do the work, and then literally said, okay, we got something, Tim. Let's jump on this now. Because if you wait, it might not be there. And I liked how you did that.
When you get that certificate that I'm going to put in a frame, I'm going to mail it to you in a blue shiny envelope, you will feel something very interesting happen to you. It has happened to hundreds of people we've sent it to. And I get the same feedback. Like it was nice to know that we got a trademark. When you physically hold it in your hands, when you put it on your wall, something magical happens, right? You realize that, hey, this is the real business, right? Because we all like to dismiss how far we've come in our journey, right? Because it doesn't happen overnight, right? Overnight success doesn't happen overnight. And it just doesn't. And so with everyday work that we put in, we're like, well, I wish it was going faster. I wish, I was making more. And you dismiss how far you've come. And somehow the trademark registration certificate, to a lot of people, to myself included, was kind of a milestone. I've actually built something, and it allows you to focus more on the future. So that's I can't wait for you to share what you're going to share when you get it. Cool.
So Andrei, I thank you for being on the show, but I've got to close my show out, and I have this wonderful little quiz that I like to do it with. Nine questions, this or that.
Okay.
I'd like to start it off every time and ask this one here to find out who my science fiction nerds and geeks are. All right. And that is, I'm the nerd. All right. You're probably the geek. And Star Wars or Star Trek?
Neither?
No. Please don't tell me you're not into sci-fi.
No.
Okay. Because my next one is kind of related to sci-fi, but it really is something that you and I can take on a political end, but this show's not political. And that is red pill or blue pill.
Okay, so I did watch Matrix. I don't remember which pill was what, but
The red pill is the unpleasant truth. The blue pill is blissful ignorance.
yeah, unpleasant truth.
I know that. I knew you wanted the truth. I know that much.
Yeah,
How about this one? I know you live in Canada, but would you rather go to the beach or mountains?
beach
Beach. Okay. How about nowadays when you get in your car, do you listen to a podcast or music?
podcast.
Yeah. And it was fun being on your podcast, by the way. Now we go down to the food products, and that is taco or hamburger.
Hamburger.
Hamburger. I would gladly pay you on Tuesday for a hamburger today. Beer or wine?
Ribeye steak would trump them both.
Yeah. How about beer or wine?
Beer.
Beer. Craft. What are you, a craft beer guy?
I'm not that picky, quite honestly, about beer, as long as it's light.
Okay.
I like Ultra, Michelob Ultra. I like ciders. I like all sorts of easy drinky stuff.
Cool.
Yeah.
How about convertible or hardtop?
You are asking difficult questions.
I'm buying it for you. Do you care?
In Canada, in the winter.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably hardtop.
Okay.
But occasional convertible is nice.
Well, if I actually put it down to Ferrari or Lamborghini, which one would you take?
I actually have a story for you about that. When I went to my first Formula One race to watch it live in Montreal a few years ago, they had a company that would take you to a different racetrack and allow you to test drive some sports cars, which included Ferrari and a Lambo. And everything in me, like I've never driven either of those before, everything in me wanted to like Ferrari better because of the brand, because it was red, because it was like the everything. But I liked the driving experience of a Lambo so much better.
Yeah. So I mean, it's funny because I owned a Porsche, and if you gave me the choice, Porsche or my Dodge truck, I'm choosing a Dodge truck because I like the way it drives better.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to do with the vehicle, it has to do with the height.
There you go.
I can't stand being low to the ground, but anyway. My last two are the controversial ones. The next one here is toilet paper. Does it go over on the roll or under? Come on, Mr. Oh yeah, Mr. Trademark guy. I would expect to go. The trademark says, the patent says.
One of the trademarks we did for our clients was Mr. Toilet. So.
Oh, okay. And my last one on here I like to ask is boxers or briefs?
Bikinis.
One more time, tell everybody your website so they can get a hold of you, Andre.
Trademarkfactory.com. Go to the website, book your call, and we'll probably also post a link in the comments that would tell us you came from the show. And when you book a call from that link, who knows? My strategy advisors might be able to do something special for you. Oh,
I love it when they give you special deals. So, well, Andre, I thank you for joining today's show and taking time out of your schedule to be part of our show today.
Thank
you, the listener. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
To you, the listener, go check out trademarkfactory.com. Andrei Mincov, all right, and his great work of helping you solidify and own your brand, all right, with a trademark. Until next time, when we have another great guest, all right, I'm Tim Gillette with the Tim Gillette Show. Be sure to subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts and come join us at our next virtual event. See you next time, guys. Bye.